Hello, my name is Ben Kaufman. For today's presentation, I chose the National Geographic documentary, The Truth Behind Zombies. My secondary source is an article written by Elizabeth McAllister called Slaves, Cannibals, and Infected Hyper-Whites, The Race and Religion of Zombies. This article was published in the spring 2012 volume of Anthropological Quarterly. I chose a documentary as my primary source because I found the history and religious origins of zombies very interesting. The religious origins of zombies can be traced back a few hundred years to Haiti and other areas within the Caribbean. With the colonization and slavery of the day, the Caribbean all of a sudden had a very diverse population with, you know, a number of different European countries, slaves from all over Central and Western Africa. So you had this very, I guess, diverse mixture of religion that kind of pulled a little bit from Christianity, native religions from Africa, and then kind of their own like local customs and everything, and it kind of evolved into voodooism. And the article Miss McAllister wrote went into very detail, into depth with that. One of the key things that the slaves believed is that the human soul could return to this life after the body physically died, and it wasn't like the whole soul. It was part of the soul. They believed that as soon as physical death occurred, part of the soul immediately went to God, and the other half kind of hung around the body, and this half or this portion could be physically captured by another still living person. And I find that very interesting. The term for that they said was zombie, which very similar to the word zombie. Um, and this part kind of got a little odd for me to understand because as slaves, you spend your whole life, not free, and then to all of a sudden have the belief that, well, part of my soul can return to life, but only it's kind of hanging out there, and then somebody else can come capture it. So you spend your whole life as a slave looking for freedom. You die, and then your soul is then captured again by somebody else, and that person can ask your soul for various, like, pray to them. It's that your soul now belongs to the other person. But I think it had something to do with just being a slave, where they kind of developed that because, like I said, they spent their whole life just wanting to be free. So I think they placed a belief in that their soul would one day be semi-free, just because they knew they couldn't physically uh, represent that. They were never going to be in a position for that to happen to them. Um, Another key thing that Ms. McAllister mentioned was that some voodooists even refer to Jesus as the first zombie. I had never heard this before. It was kind of an interesting take on that whole religion for me. I don't know how excited people of the Christian faith would agree with that, but it was interesting. And I don't know why the voodooists would have adapted part of the Christianity religion into that. Maybe it was just a way to get back at the Christians who, uh, had control over them. It was maybe just a subtle way for them to say, "Hey, well, your God was the first zombie." I just found that very interesting. Um, the article then kind of went into the evolution of zombies, how contemporary zombies are much different. So the original zombie within that voodoo culture and religion down in Haiti and other areas of the Caribbean started out as being a dead body with a live soul. And now in movies like Dawn of the Dead or Walking Dead, zombies are basically live bodies, but they don't have a soul. So you go from a dead body with a live soul to current zombies where kind of a live body, but they have no real soul, no critical thinking skills or anything. So that was interesting for me to see that transition. Uh, Another thing, she said that zombies first came to American culture in the from 1915 to 1934. The U.S. Marine Corps had an occupational presence in Haiti. So for the first time, I think you had a fairly large number of Americans being exposed to that culture, and guys would go down there, spend some time, come back, and then just bring that back, and then also immigration and everything, and it slowly spread where it got to be more of a well-known contemporary deal within our own culture. Um, this is what another thing I found interesting was the word monster is derived from the Latin word uh, monster, which means to demonstrate or to warn. So it's like zombies and other monsters uh, represent a warning of something. That could be open to anybody's interpretation what they believe. Um, but that's pretty much it. She went into a very detailed argument about how zombies represent how racism and white Americans look at zombies kind of in a negative light, and I don't know. I didn't really understand her argument or see all that. I didn't necessarily agree with that, but it was an interesting thing to read. Um, but for right now, that is it. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.